Right now I'm going to talk with, for the next few minutes, with Curt LoPresti, and Curt, of course, is with LoPresti. You got a lot of, your business is very bright from what I understand,
yes,
Curt.
Yeah, it is. It gets brighter every day.
Gets brighter every day. So tell us basically where your new products are, Curt, and how things are going at LoPresti Aviation.
Well, we announced 3 new products at the show. We've got a lighting system for the Bombardier Global, and for the Cessna Latitude, and for the Phenom 300.
Okay.
We use lighting technology called high intensity discharge that provides about a 4,000 foot field of view for the flight crew on the ground. So it's a really fantastic safety enhancement.
So tell us about this, the high intensity discharge lighting. How is that different from standard lighting that you might find in an aircraft?
Well, most aircraft uses incandescent lighting. And incandescent lighting is a much older technology that can't produce anywhere near the light that an HID can produce. You know, a incandescent light limits the pilot's forward vision to a couple of hundred feet, and with ours you can go 4,000 feet. So a pilot can break out of an overcast at say 300 feet and see an 8,000 foot runway. And if there are any deer around or anything else like that, you know, make a safe go around. The FBO comes out, chases the deer, he comes back and lands, no damage to the airplane or the deer.
Now, and that's probably very important as well. Nobody wants to damage the deer. You mentioned HIDs. What does HID stand for?
HID stands for high intensity discharge.
Okay.
And basically the way the technology works, there are metal halide crystals and salts and xenon gas in a glass tube under pressure. And those materials get excited by an electrical current, and the metal halide crystals and salts actually go through a change of state to a gas when that happens. So it's really Buck Rogers kind of technology. Works fantastic.
Is this what I keep seeing, particularly on your Facebook page? You talk about boom beam. Is that
boom beams are HIDs?
Okay. And how is that? Is that technology different from what you're introducing here, or was this just about the individual aircraft that you're?
We've been using HID technology for about 20 years. And we started out with a 35 watt system, then we developed a 60 watt system. Our current watt system is an 85 watt system. And as the increase in power goes up, it seems that the size of the unit keeps getting smaller and smaller, so the technology improves all the time.
What does it mean for the operator when he goes to install this kind of lighting on his airplane? Are there any special things that he has to do to make sure that the airplane will handle that kind of lighting and that kind of power?
Actually the current draw usually goes down by 60 to 70%, so you don't have any problem with wiring or circuit protection or switching. Occasionally the lights have to be tilted up slightly because the beam goes so much further with an HID than it does with an incandescent. We find that a 2 to 3 degrees incline in the tilt of the landing or taxi lights helps a great bit.
Why is it that the HID light is able to project so much further than an incandescent light? You mentioned some of the science behind that, but it seems like that's an awfully big improvement over an incandescent light.
It's really a tremendous improvement. It's just the physics of the way it works. It can produce much more light than an incandescent light. You know, Thomas Edison started the incandescent bulb a long time ago.
Long time ago.
and you know, the HID technology's been out since probably the late 50s.
You know, we talked a little bit earlier before we came on today about the fact that LoPresti used to be a go-fast company.
Yes.
If you wanted to take your airplane and you wanted to retrofit it and make it so you could gain an additional 3, 5, 10 knots, whatever, in cruise, you went to LoPresti and got cowlings and fairings and things of that, and wingtips and those things.
Yeah.
How did you make the transition from being a go-fast airplane company to now a major part of your business is in the lighting business?
Yeah, well, you know, it's kind of a good story. We used to have a monthly staff lunch, and I was working with my dad, my mom, and 2 of my brothers. So it was a real family affair. And one day my brother, David, came to the meeting with an HID light and said, you know, this is something we really ought to look at for an aircraft lighting thing. And then I said, well, how much are they? And he said, well, they're about 600 bucks. I said, no, people aren't going to spend $600 for a landing light. And it uses a technology that I don't think the FAA would be comfortable with. It'd be hard to get it approved. So it's a nice idea, Dave, but I don't think so. Okay, so I came back the next month to the meeting. Dave was there with the light again. And I said the same thing. And my dad kind of looked at me and said, you know, I'd really like you to look into it. And at our next meeting, he asked me if I looked into it, and I said, not yet. And he said, I told you to look into it. Go get the first one FAA approved, and let's see what happened. And I was against it, but turned out my little brother was right. We've sold over 15,000 lights.
What was that FAA approval process like to get the technology for the airplanes?
What the FAA was most concerned about, of course, was that the magnetic flux, the RMI and the EMI from the light, did not affect any electrical systems in the airplane, and that there weren't any bad glare or halation problems that might affect the pilot. And
so was there anything that you had to do in the way you designed the light housing and those kinds of things to make sure those things didn't occur?
Well, we optimize the optics to a very great extent. And now with optimization programs to do that, it's much easier than it was in the past. So we're able to really actually tune optics for each airplane. And like for instance, on say the Phenom and our Mustang kits, we actually start with a big billet of aluminum and design the perfect reflector and machine it out of a block of aluminum. And then we carefully plate the inside where the reflective surface is. So we get a reflective surface that's very accurately cut by a 5-axis CNC mill and polished and then coated with a material with very good reflectivity. So we get pretty much the optimum design. And then we simply screw that new assembly right into the airplane. So in the case of the Global, we will unscrew a light assembly with 2 lights, and we provide a brand new assembly that's all stuffed. So all the technician has to do is simply screw it in and mount the power and ground, and you're done. It's a day's job.
Back in the way back when you started talking about lighting technology, and there was something, as I'm sure you know, called a Fresnel lens that made things like lighthouses and stage lights be able to project light in a focused and much more concentrated way. Is there anything with the lens on these lights that makes it so that they have more projection than you might have otherwise, or is it all driven by
actually,
the science?
Fresnel lens are used on airplanes, usually on the belly of a fuselage, where you don't want a light that either retracts out into the slipstream, that would cause drag. And it's kind of a compromise that you have to take to do that, because Fresnel lenses are not very efficient, to be honest with you. Like for instance, on the Cessna CJ, we measured an 80% degradation of the light going through the lens, and they have a Fresnel prismatic lens on that airplane.
When you look at the kind of technology that you're working with, you've gone from a go-fast company to a lighting company. How much further can you take lighting technology beyond where it is that you've already gone?
Well, you know, we intend to update constantly. You know, we'll come out with new wires, new plugs, new coating, new ballast, new lamps, new reflectors, new sealants. And basically, you know, we do at I'm an engineer, and there's always something you can do to improve something, and we don't want to leave anything else on the table for our competitors to pick up. So if you're there with the best, it's harder for somebody else to compete with you. And we give the customer the best product.
I know you're focusing a lot on the business aviation market. What are you looking like in the general aviation market as well? Are you finding there's acceptance for, granted, a more expensive than they would find OEM light for Cessnas and Pipers and those kinds of airplanes?
You know, we were the OEM provider to Searey for landing and taxi lights on the SR-20 and 22 for 5 or 6 years, and we were on probably at least half the Searey's flying have our lighting system. But That was back when we had a 35-watt system. Then we developed a 60-watt system for the Cirrus, and now we have an 85-watt system for the Cirrus. So the guys with our old legacy system are able to trade that system in and get a 30% discount on the new system. And we do that to, of course, make a little more money, but it also makes people consider us first when they want to improve their lights.
But do you also have people with an older model 172, say, that wants to come and say, you know, maybe I don't need this much light, but boy, it would sure be nice?
Yeah, well, you know, there was one version of the Cessna, well, actually a couple, the 172, the N model, the M model, and the P model that used a single par 46 lamp in the lower cowling, and they were notorious for destroying light bulbs. If they put our lights in, they're guaranteed for 5,000 hours or 5 years. And they last much longer than that.
And it's a direct replacement?
Direct replacement.
So if someone comes to you with whatever, take us through the process of bringing the airplane, putting it in the shop, and walking out or taxiing out with new lights on the airplane.
Well, they'll see much greater distance. Yeah. Which is great. You know, I've got letters from clients. One of them was landing a brand new XLS at Wingsfield in Philly, 3,800 foot strip at night. It's in a black hole. And believe it or not, they grow corn on the infield of the airport there. There's a deer fence there, and what do the deers do at nighttime?
They jump over the
fence. Jump the fence to get the corn. And he was on short final and about to flare, and he saw a deer more than halfway down the runway, and he was able to make a safe go around. He called the FBO. They came out with a pickup, ran the deer off. Airplane came back and landed safely, and the deer didn't get hurt again.
The deer was over there munching on corn.
Yeah.
But when someone comes in with their airplane and you take it and say, I want to get these new lights, take me through the process of how you actually get the lights, determine what goes on, install them, and get them out the door, and how long that takes.
Well, what we typically do is just replace the standard reflector with a standard reflector size. They're basically either a par 36 or a par 46 or a par 64. And then we put our high intensity discharge light in that reflector. And we've got a choice of a couple of ballasts, either a 60 or an 85. We mount that somewhere and then we run the wires.
And that's it.
And then we go out and make sure the light is aimed in the correct direction. Like I said earlier, occasionally you have to tilt it up a couple of degrees to get the best range possible, and we'll do that.
Well, Curt, congratulations on these new products. It sounds like you're going well. Do you still get an occasional airplane in and say, I want a new cowling and I want to go faster?
Yeah. And we also, you know, like probably in the last 4 months, it looks like we're getting some more business in our composite area. We're building some Mooney cows again, twin Comanches, and Seneca cowlings. We're also looking at some Boeing products for lighting. We're doing our first 737 right now. That'll be available probably 3 or 4 months.
So are you finding that people in that other side of the house where you're talking about improving the airplane performance, are you finding that people are, that kind of goes along with the economy when they have that kind of work done?
Yeah, you know, it all comes down to disposable income. And people are more comfortable spending money now than they've been in, you know, the past year. So, and we're very happy to see it.
And who knows, maybe as the year progresses, people will get even more and more interested.
We can only hope.
They might actually have a little to spend, you never know.
Yeah.
Well, Curt, thanks very much.
Okay.
We really appreciate taking some time to talk with us today. And go out there and make the world a little bit brighter.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
Aero-News Network's coverage of the 60th Annual AEA International Convention and Trade Show, live from New Orleans, is brought to you in part by the following sponsors.
FreeFlight Systems is expanding its business into the Part 25 aviation industry through new avionics shop dealers, manufacturer partnerships, and STC programs. With a focus on the next-gen airspace and remote-mounted sensor systems, FreeFlight Systems will continue to be a leader in the next-gen airspace. Visit freeflightsystems.com for details.